Maths Chat Live. Our next guest is no stranger to Maths Chat Live, being in the first few episodes, almost starting the whole thing off. Always been at the forefront of things mathematics, education related. And he's got a huge announcement to make, which I'm very excited about personally, as someone who's worked on the project a little bit, and for what I do on a day-to-day basis, which is now potentially becoming accessible to all students. So welcome back, Mark McCourt.
Great, thanks Atul, and thanks for having us on this evening for a short Maths Chat Live. But yeah, it's a nice opportunity for us to talk about what we've been up to and make this announcement. So as you know, because you've been a part of it, and a really great group of people have been a part of this, as you know, we've been working on trying to come up with some way of leveling the playing field, in the UK, but it's not very different in most Western countries. In the UK, about a quarter of pupils have a private tutor, and some of them are supported by great tutors like you, and there's a great relationship between the school and so forth. But 3/4 of pupils don't. And 3/4 of pupils don't have that opportunity. They don't have all the enormous advantages that it brings. I know when you work with pupils and you can be unpicking early number sense or whatever it is, the advantages that brings to the classroom are just huge. And we had really been hoping that at a national level, there would be some solution that said, actually, we know that 3/4 of the population can't afford a tutor, because that's the reason they state. When you ask the 3/4, it's not that they don't want it. They say they want it. They want tuition. Mm-hmm. But they say, we can't afford it. We don't have the funds to be able to pay for that. And we were hoping a national solution would come along and say, well, let's get rid of all the barriers, take down all the barriers and make the benefits of tuition accessible to everyone. And it didn't. Instead, what was proposed was things like, the NTP, the lowest income families, pupils that are facing the most significant challenges you can imagine. And what we'll do for them is give them 15 hours of booster lessons. I mean, it's insulting. It's just, it can't be okay that that's the case. It can't be okay to say, you're in the hardest circumstances already. You can't afford to sort it out yourself. So what we're going to do is pay lip service to it and just say, here's 15 hours of disconnected intervention, rather than what tuition does. As you know, what tuition does is it works alongside the classroom and bolsters what's happening in the classroom. It's complementary to what's going on. It's preparing them for lessons that are coming up. It's consolidating lessons that have been, all of that relationship. And you just don't get that in a 15-hour program. And that some of that program is delivered by people who are not trained and not expert at doing this kind of work. So we thought, well, that can't be okay. And over the last however many months it is, you and me and a whole bunch of other people, I think the list is about 50 now, we've been working on some way of leveling the playing field, and that's what we're calling Tutor. So what we are about to do is to launch, and many schools and colleges and work-based learning and offender learning and private tutors, many people have already come on board and they're taking part in it right now and signed up, but we're about to launch it publicly now. That's what we're doing. This idea of Tutor, which is for just £1 per week per pupil, £1 per week for a pupil, they can have unlimited mathematics tuition. Learn anything they want to learn, from early number sense through to differential equations and complex numbers, absolutely everything, the whole thing. I can't number bond within 5 yet, or I'm trying to learn about imaginary numbers, and learn the entire thing and work on that. So we're bringing that to everyone for £1 a week. And one of the things that's really, really important to us is that when you survey at scale the most disadvantaged families, so the bottom 10% of families, when you survey them at scale, they repeatedly say about £1 per week is our absolute limit. £5 in our monthly family budget, it really matters. And go beyond that and it becomes inaccessible. So that's why we chose that figure, at £1 per week, to make sure that it was driven by the data we got back from the lowest income families saying this is what we could do. So we chose that figure to make sure it was accessible to everyone. But we recognize that there are still people out there, families out there that won't be able to afford anything at all. The circumstances are that difficult. So as you know, our pledge is that any family that comes along and they're not part of the school tutor version and they're not part of family one, they have no one that can pay for it for them. The pupil comes along, they want all the benefits of tuition, they want all the same advantages as their peers, but they're not able to pay £1 a week, then we will give it to them for free forever. No quibbles, no means testing, no fuss, just come and learn some maths, learn whatever maths you want. So that's about Tutor, and I'm going to just very quickly have a look at Tutor and what it might look like in a school or in a college and so on. But then another big announcement. So this is the scoop, mate. This is the big announcement.
This is the big one, right?
That you know about and other people know about, but we haven't made this public yet. On the 15th of July, what we are doing is opening up our entire content. So our entire curriculum from the very early number sense all the way through, opening up the entire thing for anyone, anywhere who wants to take what we're calling summer school. And throughout the summer holidays, from the 15th of July onwards, what all pupils can do everywhere is take as much mathematics tuition that they want to take. And they can just explore their own universe of maths, learn everything they want to learn. And schools or colleges that have come along and said, yeah, we want this for our school, our entire school population of 1,000 pupils or whatever it is, those schools will have teacher accounts, and those teacher accounts have all the data and the information about what the pupils are doing. So we're already seeing schools, for example, using some of that data to work out our incoming year 7, how ready are they for secondary and so on, and what are the gaps analysis and that kind of thing. So on the 15th of July, if your school or your college or your institution or your work-based learner, whatever you are, if you want to sign up, you can have the whole of the program for free. And we're going to make that available all the way through the summer. So, I really do hope that can help make a bit of a difference. It's been a really, really strange year. Obviously, every year pupils have gaps. Obviously, there's always some pupils that are more advantaged than others, but this is a way of us saying, this year, let's try as hard as we possibly can to level the playing field and get everyone on there. So if you want to come along for the summer school, all you have to do is sign up a form, and I'll give you the web address in a moment. Put your school details, college details into a form, and my team will build that for you, and you'll have the entire curriculum and every single little lesson that might exist on that. So hopefully that's going to be something of interest to your viewers. And I thought what we'd do is just briefly take a look at what Tutor looks like. And one of the approaches that might be taken with Tutor is lots and lots of different ways you can use it. But I'm going to take a look at just one of these approaches here. So hopefully we can see the screen and it's clear. So just giving you a very brief overview, but please do talk to my team. They'll take you through the entire thing in great detail and work out what the best situation is for your institution. It might be this approach, it might be a different approach. So just very briefly, people will come along, they log in, answer a few little questions about themselves, how old they are, how confident they are in mathematics and so on. And what we do is by asking pupils a few gentle questions about themselves, how they feel, how their confidence is in mathematics, their age and whatever. What we do is we search our curriculum for some appropriate content. And if I just jump over to our curriculum, which you know well at all. So our curriculum, which is something we've been building over the last 20 years, which is on the screen at the moment, this rather bizarre looking map thing here, this strange universe of interconnected little bits of mathematics here. And there are thousands of them in here, these thousands of little connected pieces of mathematics. So not like a scheme of work, but how the interconnecting webs of maths mesh together to form bigger ideas and how they build up into understanding. So each of these little tiny bits of mathematics, then all of the connections between them, so where those bits of mathematics are connected to, what they unlock, what they depend upon. That curriculum, what we do after these questions with the pupils is we search that curriculum, knowing a little bit about the pupils, and we find some mathematics which we know they'll get correct. So we know they'll be comfortable with. So pupils' first experience is they come along, they answer some questions, and then, so hit me with some questions, they go through, they do some questions, and these questions have been dragged out to deliberately be something that the pupil can overcome. So their very first experience of arriving at this thing called tutor, they haven't met their tutor yet, but they will soon. The very first experience is, so I answered a bit of questions, and here's some maths I can do. Hey, that feels good, I can do that mathematics. And they win some awards and prizes and medals and trophies. So the first experience is one of, well, that wasn't scary, I can get those things right, and I've won some prizes because of it. And when they win some prizes, they then come to their little dashboard. And in their dashboard, they can share their data with their school, with their family, with their grandparents. They can build groups of friends so they can compete against each other in mathematics because they're winning trophies and they're unlocking scores. They can set themselves daily goals. How much mathematics do I want to learn today? How much time do I want to spend? So what's happened here is the pupil has done some maths, which we know they're going to get correct. And this thing here that you're seeing, this My Mathematical Universe, what that actually is a tiny subset of the overarching mathematical universe. So based on what this pupil did, they're starting to construct their own version of the entire universe. And over time, they can build up the whole universe. So this pupil here, they've done that, and they can see, well, my only option at the moment is to do some more maths. So let's do some more maths. And they do a bit more maths. They win some more prizes and awards and trophies. And their universe starts getting stronger and more detailed, and there are more connections. And more of that great map starts to become revealed to them. And then they can go off and do some more maths. And they win some more prizes. And what we're doing here, based on that initial starting point, making sure they were comfortable, we're very, very gently, very carefully increasing the challenge of the mathematical questions that they're answering. So just building it up bit by bit by bit, increasing that challenge, carefully, gently. And when they start to plateau, when they start to have some difficulties, take a little bit longer on some of the mathematical ideas, which are increasing in their challenge, once they get to that point of starting to have a bit of difficulty on some of them, then boom, they unlock some more mathematics. And for us, that's a really nice reward for them, that they unlock new maths. And what's happened here is this pupil has unlocked a course, a mathematical course that they can follow with their tutor. And this course is their course, just for them. So having completed a load of questions, done a lot of activities, what we're doing is we're building up a personal mathematical course for this pupil. And they can go off and do their course. And courses are made up of big mathematical ideas. And you can see they've attacked a couple and they're working on one. And then mathematical ideas are then broken into goals. So these are sub-skills, little bits of the mathematical idea building up. So this pupil here is trying to build up this big idea, and they're working on these goals. And you can see they've nailed 2 of them, and now they're going to work through another goal. So this is the thing they want to learn about just now, and maybe they do 15 minutes and they can attack a goal. So this pupil wants to learn about this thing here, and they come into it. And what we've done, as with our universe, which is 20 years of 50 odd people contributing a huge amount of thinking, huge amount of planning, and making sure those connections work, what we've done here is taking the best of what we know about teaching mathematics and encompassed it in this learning design of one tiny step of what we call a goal. So this pupil wants to learn about this thing here, this finely perimeter thing, and we show them, look, if you learn this, you'll be able to do things like this, and they can see some notes and so on. And before they meet their tutor, which they haven't met yet, before they learn anything new, the first step for this pupil is they are presented with what we call readiness. So it says here, look, I want to learn this new thing here. And we show them, we visually show them, this new thing you want to learn, to understand that, to grip this new idea. There is underpinning mathematical ideas, there are foundational mathematical ideas which it sits upon. There are prerequisite mathematical ideas that it sits upon, because new understanding relies on previous understanding. And this pupil here is shown, look, there are prerequisites that it sits upon, and they can choose, and it is their choice, the pupil's choice. They could skip this and just go off and meet their tutor and learn about the new thing. Or they could choose to assess their readiness. And what we're trying to do over time is create dispositions within pupils such that they realize, you know, the times where I do work out if I'm ready for a new mathematical idea, they're more successful times. Preparing myself for new learning is a successful thing to do. So this pupil can go off, quiz themselves, they take a quiz, They win some awards. And now this pupil is an unusual pupil, right? Because this is saying, look, you quiz yourself on the prerequisites and they're all secure. You're fine. You're ready to progress. That's not the most common thing, but this pupil, they're ready to progress. And because they're ready to progress, they've assessed their readiness. It's saying, look, you've got the underpinning ideas. They can now go off and start the learning. And this learning bit here, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have expert instruction from a developmental stage expert, a really expert in the piece of mathematics that I'm learning. So my tutor will now, I'll call up my tutor and they'll give me expert instruction in this new idea, talk to me conceptually about this idea, how it relates to things I understand, what the underpinning principles of the idea is. So this instruction is an exploration of the idea itself and what the idea means in trying to make sense of the idea. When they're happy with that, when the pupil they've gone through this process with their teacher and they're happy with, okay, I get how that fits with things I understand the ideas that are being presented here, conceptually what this means. When they've done that, what we then do is, you see here I've got a bunch of them, we then have the teacher will come back, and now we've had an explanation of how this idea works and what it's about and what its principles are. Let's take those principles, let's take those ideas, this new idea that I'm learning about, let's take that and apply it to a problem. So the teacher will show the pupil the problem and work through in great detail with lots of explanations, step by step by step. How do we use this new idea to address this problem, step by step by step, explaining all the steps? And then the pupil is shown a problem and they go through step by step by step. And the teacher will then come back in and go through those steps with them. So what's happening here is you get an example and a problem, an example and a problem, an example and a problem. And we do this as many times as is necessary for this idea. Now, a lot of teaching ends at this point, a lot of tutoring ends at this point. I've had expert instruction in the concept, the idea. Then we've worked through some detailed problems together. I've been shown the steps, I've replicated the steps, and a lot of teaching ends at that point. But what we know is that all that's really happening at this stage is that the pupil is able to replicate what the teacher is telling them. And that's an important thing, that's an important part in building up a better understanding of this idea. But it's no indication of long-term memorable learning. So what now happens, I've worked through step by step with my teacher, we've gone through detailed examples. What then happens is the pupil goes on to doing some. So they bring up a doing quiz where they are now on their own. So there is no teacher with them. They're working through it on their own, doing their work on their own, and answering the problems on their own. And they win some awards and some prizes and so on. So they've had their readiness assessed, then they've been instructed in the idea, then they've worked hand in hand with the teacher through some detailed examples. And then independently on their own, they've answered a bunch of those questions themselves. But we also know that at this stage, where nearly all teaching ends, nearly all tutoring ends at this point, we also know at this stage, there's not really a strong indicator of memorable learning, because there's recency. I've literally just been told about the idea, and there is cue saying all of the questions you're about to see will be about this idea. So for example, I'm being instructed in using Pythagoras' theorem, and we work through the examples, and then I'm giving 10 questions and they're all of that type. Well, I know what to do and I'm still just replicating. So what's happening here is we have recency and cue. So we don't stop at this point. So we're still not satisfied that the pupil has gripped this. And remember, this is just a sub part of the idea. This is a goal, a bit that makes up the idea. We're still not satisfied that they've gripped this, and they now go off and do a next kind of activity, which we call a practice quiz. And the difference between practice rather than the doing is now the quiz is jumbled. So what we do, so if it was Pythagoras' theorem, for example, what we do is we take this idea, Pythagoras, and we say, what part of the domain, what part, the webs of ideas, what connects into this from previous learning? And we draw in related previous ideas and we present them in a mixed exercise. So what's happening here is we're getting a huge amount of retrieval practice, lots and lots of retrieval going on. But fundamentally, more importantly, what's happening here is because the exercise is mixed, every single question, the pupil has to pause and think, is this the method we're learning about at the moment? And what method do I apply here? So they have to do this method selection. So at this stage, on every question, they're having to perform method selection. And method selection is a good proxy, a strong indicator of memorable learning. If they're able to spot in a group of problems that are related, the times where they actually apply these methods and also retrieve and apply previous methods, then we're getting a strong indicator of long-term memory. And they go through and they win some prizes and so on. And only at this stage are we happy they've nailed that goal. So, this is not a toy, this is not some game, it's a really serious, sophisticated complementary education that bolsters classroom learning and helps support classroom learning by putting in place those fundamentals so that the teacher, like the teacher of the pupil that is highly tutored, the teacher's time in the classroom with the pupils can be more joyful, because you can take that they have the language of mathematics to work in that classroom, experience deeper problems, work with you as a teacher on much more deep and interesting problems rather than putting the fundamentals in place. Let's get another pupil. This is much more typical. So a pupil comes to an idea, got the usual things, they're going to assess their readiness, and they're shown, look, this is the new idea you want to learn, but it depends on knowing these things here. And we always show them this. And I think this is a big deal to pupils, that how often are they shown, look, you want to learn some new thing, but you could only possibly learn that new thing if you have these things in place, if these things are understood to you, because new understanding relies on old understanding. So they're shown, look, these are the things, they go off and take their quiz. And now this is a much more typical pupil. They come and they can see, now I want to learn about this new thing. And remember, they could skip, they could go meet their tutor right now and learn about it. They have control to do that. So they could just skip off and do that. And what we're hoping happens over a period of time is that pupils begin to realize the bits where I skipped, the bits where I didn't take seriously my readiness, didn't take seriously the prerequisites. It was really hard to understand the new idea. I didn't have a great deal of success. So they start to build those behaviors of preparing for new learning is an important thing to do. So this pupil here, what happens now? They're shown, look, there are some things you have to fix, and they unlock new mathematical ideas. So in that big universe of maths, they've unlocked their own particular gaps, and everyone will have different gaps. And they can say, okay, I now have the power to go and fix this before learning this new thing. And they can fix that. And again, a developmental stage expert will come and instruct me. So maybe I was working on Pythagoras with someone who's expert at that level of mathematics. And then I revealed through some of the work that I was doing, maybe I had some early number sense problem. And now suddenly an expert in that area of mathematics is my instructor. Because with the best will in the world, none of us can have up our sleeves all the pedagogic choices, the models, the metaphors, the examples for the whole domain of mathematics. So what's happening here is you're getting passed to someone who's expert in that, and they'll take you through conceptually what this means, example problem pairs, and do the quizzing and so on. And then when they got to that point, they can see that that's fixed, and they can move on and decide to learn some more mathematics. So that's one example of how schools and colleges might use this. And this was a pupil coming along and saying, just hit me with some maths and I'll do some maths. There are lots of schools already saying to us that we want to have an input on the maths that they're learning. So one of the things you can do in Tutor, this built a course specific for this child. One of the things you could do in Tutor is you could say, well, look, I want to teach year 4 this year, and we've got the next 6 weeks coming up. And I know that the 10 topics I want to teach in this next 6 weeks are whatever they are, that list of 10 topics. You can then, from our big curriculum, you could grab those 10 topics, put them into a list, give it a name, My School, Year 4, Half Term 1, and now all the tuition will perfectly dovetail with what you're doing in the classroom. So it's preparing pupils for the lessons that are coming up, and it's bolstering and supporting the lessons that you have been teaching. So that's a bit of what Tutor does. And like I said, on the 15th of July, what we're going to do is open up the entire thing, the whole thing, right from early number all the way through. So pupils can take courses on anything at all, go through all of this learning. I'm going to open that up as a subset of Tutor. So Tutor, the full thing, the responsive nature and so on, all of that is for the academic year. So schools are already getting on there, and we're getting them ready for coming back to school after the summer break. But we're going to release this subset of it on the 15th of July. So if your school, if your college, if your own children, if your own tutees, if anyone you're working with, or indeed yourself, would benefit from this, let us know and we'll put you on it, and it's completely free. One of the things about Tutor as well is that Tutor, the thing we log into the whole thing, which has all of the data being sent to the schools, so they're getting all of the data and information about what's going on. Tutor accounts for schools and colleges and work-based learning and offender learning and anyone that's helping to support people learning mathematics. So if you're an instructor or a teacher, accounts for you are entirely free. So you can just come along, log in, and you get the whole thing. And one of the things I'm really happy about over the last couple of months is what has emerged is people have said, well, one of the things that's useful to us is we have some non-specialists delivering mathematics. So they could go on and see the specialists delivering it, and they could see, good ways of delivering mathematical ideas that they're planning in their scheme. So there's a real CPD side of it as well. So if you want to come along and do this, and we've only been able to do this, by the way, for anyone that's listening, we've only been able to do this because people like Atul and a bunch of other people from across the country, around the world, in fact, we've got instructors from all over the place. They've really, really just pulled it out the bag in the last few months. We don't have $1 billion company. We don't have money from government or anything like that. This was just people coming together and saying, it is not okay that 3/4 of the population don't get the benefit of tuition. So this group of people have just really pulled it together over the last few months. I'm extraordinarily indebted to them for doing that, and they've made this possible for you to be a part of. When Tutor comes online, you can sign up right now. The team will help you do that. You can put all of your pupils on Tutor from September onwards. You might choose, so you might have a school of 1,000, say 1,000 pupils. You might say, well, it's £1 a week, so we're going to fund a group of pupils, maybe your pupil premium, the PEF, or whatever it is. So the school will fund a group of pupils, £1 a week, and then we'll send a letter to parents saying, look, this thing is here. And because you're sending the letter to parents, they can also pay £1 a week if they are able to do so. And if they're not able to do so, their account is free. So your institution, your organization, can really have every single learner on the site, every single one of them, regardless of how much money your institution has and is able to fund. It's possible. And the way in which we're doing that is that when parents come along and they say, okay, I'm going to put my 2 children on, so I'm going to put my 2 children on, that's £2 per week, but actually I can afford another £1. So I'll buy 2 seats for my children, and I'll buy what we call a scholarship seat. And that scholarship seat, by me paying an extra £1 a week, that scholarship seat will be given to a pupil somewhere who's not able to afford to pay. There are 60 million children in the world who never go to school, but they do have devices. So by donating scholarship seats, children all around the world will be able to have access to free mathematics education. Now, obviously, there'll be more people that need scholarship seats than there are scholarships donated. So where a pupil comes along and there isn't a donated seat from a family, then they will get a complete maths donation. We'll make the scholarship so that every single pupil can get on that. So if you want to be a part of it, you want to get all your pupils on there, schools are saying things like, well, we're going to replace homework with this. So instead of me writing an exercise, then marking their book, what we're going to do is instead of homework, they're going to have 15 minutes or 20 minutes a day, depending on your policy, of tuition. And all the content is created and marked, of course, and all that data is sent to you in the gaps analysis. Things like, look, you're planning on teaching this thing next week, and 40% of your class aren't yet ready to learn that thing. That kind of gaps analysis will come over to you. So if you do want to be a part of it, you want to join us on this and get your pupils to benefit from it. And I really do hope that everyone will do that, because there is no need now for any pupil not to have the benefit of expert instruction and support and consolidation all the way through their school career. So if you want to be a part of it, please do come and find out more. So if you want to find out more about Tutor, the full thing that I've just spoken about, completemaths.com/tutor. If you want your school or your college or your institution to put your entire cohort of pupils, if you want to put every single person on summer school, then race against the clock. It's 15th of July, it goes live. I know that that's not soon enough for Leicester and Leicestershire, but we've done this as quickly as we possibly could. come along to completemaths.com/tutor/summer school, fill in the form, and my team will get your institution set up and open the whole thing up for you to give your pupils the code. The way in which you do it is you just have a single code, one code. You give that to your pupils and they type that code in and they become a member of your school, which means you get all the data and you can see what they're doing and so on. So completemaths.com/tutor to find out more about Tutor, and completemaths.com/tutor/summer school to register for the summer school. There's absolutely no limit on places, no limit on the size of your institution. Just come along and benefit from it. You know, lots of pupils have missed a lot of mathematics learning this last year. Here's a way of quickly and expertly filling in those gaps. So hopefully that's of interest to people. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And I hope people have got the web addresses written down. So that's what we're up to, as you know, Atul, because you've been one of the amazing people who've kindly given your time and support for this. And as you know, a big group of people across the country, around the world, have done so as well. So yeah, that's what's going on, and hopefully we can help as many pupils as possible.
Yeah.
There's, if anyone's had any questions or anything like that, but I do know that we're on a short one tonight, so
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of time for Q&A.
No, I mean, just a massive thank you from, I'm sure, all the teaching community. It's an absolute masterstroke what you've done there. You've used the digital scalability to potentially reach anyone and everyone. It's on a personal level. My dad was a tutor before he joined the diplomatic service, and it was below the poverty line in India. It was an incredibly empowering thing, and we had the social mobility thing, and I ended up here, and so I ended up being a tutor. And I know how life-changing it can be, and it's plagued me from day one that it's only available to such a limited number of people. And believe me, I've done all the kind of free tutoring in schools, primary, secondary. I've gone and spent my time, but scaling these things is very difficult, and you basically achieved that. And just looking at the platform,
it needed to happen, didn't it? It should have happened at a national scale. There should have been a solution for it. There wasn't. So a group of people just got together. You know, this is not our thing. We are, at our core, we're a teacher development company. That's what we do. This is not something we thought we would have to address, but we have, and with your help, with everyone else's help, I think what we've pulled together, using that map that we built for the last 20 years of building that map, means that we know every single twist and turn in mathematics, all the possible things that could happen at a very granular level. If someone I used that Pythagoras example earlier, someone might be working on a Pythagoras question. Think how much mathematics there is in there. If they're getting a question wrong, it's not good enough to know they're getting a question wrong. What is it? They've got a problem with exponentiation? Is there a problem with rearranging the equation? What is it that's actually happening, and what's granular level? And that's what good tutors do. You sit alongside a pupil and you observe them and see these tiny moments and react in the moment. So by using that enormous map that we had, we are able to bring that power of reacting in the moment at a very, very specific, detailed level, which means every single pupil in your school will be following a very, very specific, personalized, highly responsive course. And those things really matter when we're talking about tuition. It's that personal side of it, one-to-one. There's lots of these NTP programs suggesting that people should be in 1 to 3 or whatever. Nonsense, absolutely nonsense. The benefit of tuition is that personal moment, is that responding really carefully, and that response being from someone who is expert and has thought very, very carefully about the pedagogic choices to make in that moment and what goes on. It can't be okay that a national program says, oh, we'll just put people that have never taught on it before. It's not okay. So, it's been a big job. We're all absolutely shattered in getting this ready. But really, it's nice to hear you say it, mate, but it's you lot that need the thanks. You're the ones who've pulled all this off. We just had the bonkers idea. So yeah, thank you to you and to all of the other
Yeah.
tutors. that
No,
have
no, it's been, I mean, it were very tight deadlines, really, really, very satisfying. It was never felt like, for me, it was like, this, you've got to do this. Like, I was tutoring my normal students, but I thought, I can't keep doing that. I need to get involved in this, because what I'm doing, what everything you described is responsive in the moment, this one-to-one, it's got to be available to more people, to everyone. Just going to take just one question, really, from Jane Taft on Periscope. Can we offer it to incoming reception level children?
Absolutely anyone. There's just no boundary on it. Absolutely anyone at all. And we're seeing so many different use cases. The point of the map, the point of the universe, is that you can then use it anywhere, right? For any purpose. So yes, Jane, you've got some reception pupils. And here's another thing for anyone working with early years that's emerging now, and I'm just blown away by it. When these ideas come up. It's so beautiful. So one of the things we know about parents working with very young children, sometimes those very young children say, "Hey, Dad, can you help me with my maths?" And the parent themselves feels dread, feels panic, because they themselves, mathematics is something that creates a fear response. And we can change that psychology to, instead of "Can you help me with my maths, Dad?" to "Daddy, can we sit together and do the maths?" And then parent and child can sit and watch the expert instructor. And what we're hoping will happen over time is that parent and child experience of working with tutor and so on, that the parent themselves will become incrementally more mathematical and more confident in mathematics. So yeah, absolutely, anyone at all, any age. And there are plenty of adult learners who are operating at a really, really low level of mathematical understanding, perfectly suitable for them. So suitable for employers, suitable for anyone working in FE, anyone working in, I've mentioned offender learning a few times as well. Becoming mathematical is transformational. It just changes who you are, changes your opportunities, changes your life. And everyone has that potential to be mathematical. It's just maybe they've not had someone make it accessible for them to have that potential unlocked. And that's what we're trying to do. So
Couldn't agree with it more. All of the above. I think I'm due to start with a 78-year-old here lady who is keen to learn maths for the continue her journey. It really is a journey, just wherever she left off, and we started up, and that's available now en masse. So fantastic. Yeah, that's the one question. But if you've got more questions, just reply to this Twitter thread. We've got the URL. I would jump straight on it. This is never seen anything like this in my entire life. It is a phenomenal opportunity.
I'm just going to put that URL up again while we stop, just in case people didn't get a note of it and they want to come along and sign up. So, but I know we've gone over time, Atul, so we best wrap up. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I wanted to announce it on your show because we kicked off Maths Chat Live last, whenever it was, March or April or what, last year. It's been a great addition to maths professional development, so I thought this should be the place where we announce summer school. So thanks very much for
My absolute pleasure. And actually, in that first episode, I asked you, can you show the mathematical universe? And at that point, it was for teachers. And now you reveal the mathematical universe for everyone in this amazing product. So it's just great to come full circle.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone. I'll stop the stream now.